So, just thought members would be interested to know that that is the case. So this is a timing issue. Just for, in the interests of clarity, there has never been a member of this council that has received an allowance from 2009 onwards. There was a part of the criteria within the Constitution that allowed the chairs of Morecambe Town Council to receive an annual allowance. At no point have any of those chairs, irrespective of who they were elected under whose banner, have ever taken that allowance, and that is across the board from all of those previous colleagues, from myself back through Nick and David, Roger Plum, and as far back as Evelyn when she was the chair. Nobody's ever done that. There is no budget line for it because we don't pay allowances. David wants to say a couple of words about the technicalities of it, and then I'll move on to the main business of the meeting, if that's all right. But I'm sure some of the news looks there were about the allowances themselves. So over to David, just to clarify a couple of things.
Thank you, Chairman. I need to apologise to the Council because it's my fault we've had that letter, because I replied too late to this gentleman, and that's why we've had the letter. I need to say that to you all because I owe you that apology. I have been asked the same question by the same person at least on one other occasion in previous years, and that person had the same answer, but I'm still supposed to answer the same question within 20 days, I think, on this occasion. Since that letter came, I had further correspondence from this gentleman, just so everybody's clear. I've got nothing to hide. The gentleman has now complained to me that I've been misleading residents because on our website, in our Freedom of Information document, which is a policy document we have, which informs people how they can get information about this council, and there is a line in there, this document states 2011, that did state members' allowances, the town council does not operate a members' allowance scheme, and in brackets, operates a chairman's allowance. When I started in this job, there was, as I understand, provision for the chairman to claim, I think it was up to £200 a year. Just after I started in the next year's budget, that was removed from the budget. So that's why this person is saying to me, ask the FOI question, because that document still had that phrase in that document. So that's now being removed. And that's just to explain for me, open and honest about what's happened.
Okay, thank you.
Just a
any
clarification.
questions? Yes, Roger, please.
Sorry, it's just a clarification.
Yeah.
But the reply that they said he received, what was the reply that we sent back to him? Because it doesn't seem to me that if we'd have said there's no members' allowances paid, that would have been a straight end. But we didn't seem to say that. What did we say?
Basically, that's what I said to him.
Also, the Information Commission's letter seems to say it was a different response.
No, the response, because it was out of the statutory time limit, is why that we've been doing a slap on the wrist, basically.
Right.
The nature of the request in itself has been answered, and it's been answered on more than one occasion. Nobody in this chamber receives an allowance. We all do it, whatever our differences and whatever our different perspectives on things, we all do this because we love our town, don't we? And some people can't quite cope with that for some strange reason. And we are going to try and get some clarity from the Information Commission's office on how to deal with those kinds of deliberately vexatious complaints in the future on behalf of the councillors.
Thank you.
Jane?
Do we have in the budget an expense account that members can show on?
No, there is not.
So we don't even have that.
No.
Thank you. Just very sorry.
As far as I am not aware, and David will correct me if I'm wrong, the line in the budget ceased to exist after 2 years of the council being in existence.
I didn't see.
So, yeah,
I
so
didn't notice
it's
one
not
there,
there.
but I just...
Yeah. Yeah, even if you wanted somewhere in the budget.
No.
Okay. Is that okay for everybody before we move on to the main business? Thank you very much, that's very kind. Cheers for that. So, like I said, if you want a copy of the letter, so so you can peruse what it's saying. Then David can provide you a copy whenever you like. Okay, right, so item number 1 is apologies for absence.
I've received apologies, Chairman, from Councillor Janet Hanson, Councillor John Hanson, Councillor William Stenison. Those are the only ones I've received.
Chair, Tony Anderson, he's not well at the present time. So,
Now the seal on the trip when it comes round, you are including Councillor Davis.
Should you put that one? Thank you.
This is not well at the moment. I don't think we can get it out.
it's the age thing, John, I think it's high.
Thank you, John. Okay, thank you very much. If there are no further apologies for absence, then we'll move on to the next bit, which is declarations of interest. I'm obliged to read this out verbatim, and then before I take interventions from members on their declarations, I'm again going to hand over to the clerk. So, declarations of interest is to receive declarations by members of interest in respect of items on this agenda. Members are reminded that in accordance with Localism Act 2011, they are required to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests which have not already been declared in the Council's Registry of Interests. It's a criminal offence not to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest either in the register or at the meeting. Whilst not a legal requirement, in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 10 and in the interest of clarity and transparency, members should declare any disclosable pecuniary interests which they have already declared in the register at this point in the meeting. In accordance with Part B, Section 2 of the Code of Conduct, members are required to declare the existence and nature of any other interests as defined in Paragraphs 8.1 and 9.2 of the Code of Conduct. Like I say, before I ask for declarations from members, I'm going to hand over to the clerk again.
Thank you, Chairman. People may know that Lancaster City Council has a new monitoring officer who started last week. I met her earlier today, I request. The reason I wanted to meet her was because I remain deeply concerned about some of the interests that may or may not arise in this council. And some of them, to some people, are a grey area. And members and myself sometimes have a different view. She's a lawyer, I'm not a qualified lawyer, I want her perspective on some things. So I feel I need to pass this on, what she said to me today. Firstly, if we're discussing a budget head, so for instance the festival's budget, but not how we, who is awarding money from that budget, just the whole budget as a global sum. Her view is that no member of this council would have an interest in that debate. If during that debate, for whatever reason, we started discussing a festival or more than one festival, people may begin to have an interest there if they're linked to that festival in any way. But if we're solely discussing budget, as we would with any other budget, no member would have an interest, according to the monitoring officer. That's something that has been worrying me out for a few days. Second issue I talked to her about is again all linked to festivals. This would be an issue of people who go to a festival, not just simply to watch it, but to help out at the festival. Her view, and I must admit I'm not a lawyer, and this is not my view, but this is her view as a monitoring officer that she said I should pass on. That if you go to a festival to help out in a voluntary capacity, so in other words you're not being paid any money for doing it, in her view that is not an interest. It would only become an interest if you were on the sort of management board or organising committee of that event. But if you went along on the day or days and helped out in whatever shape or form and didn't take any money yourself, that wouldn't be an interest. As I've always been told, who might argue the monitoring officer, I don't personally agree with that, but that's what she's saying. However, on top of that, what she did say, she thinks if that was the position of somebody, from an issue of transparency, you should make it her advice would be to make it quite clear at the start of the item that that's what you do at that event. I'm not to say something like, I'm not declaring an interest, however, I help out at event A, and this is what I do. from a transparency point of view. That's what that memo wants to do. The third scenario, which again in my mind is tricky, is the issue where somebody says to me, do I have an interest because I know somebody? And as I said in a meeting last week, knowing somebody in itself doesn't constitute an interest. It depends on the context of that relationship with that person and I suppose what we're talking about as well. Her view is that if you know somebody, and the reason you know somebody is because they are a member of the same organisation as you are, again, that does not constitute an interest. Unless you are again involved with, if you're talking about a festival, with that festival or on its organising committee. If you know somebody, because they're in the same body, whatever that body is, she said that's not an interest. But again, in the interest of transparency, because people in a town like this, people know who knows everybody, and you don't feel as though you need to declare that, you should say, I'm not declaring an interest, but I do know Mr. or Mrs. X because of this. And then that would be in the minutes, and that would be clear. That's the upshot of what I discussed with the monitoring officer today. Through myself and her, we wanted again to make it quite clear though that the onus is on the member to declare the interest. That's their advice that I'm giving to you today. The bit about volunteering at a festival, as a clerk, I want to go on record and say, personally I don't fully agree with that, but that's what she's saying to me, so it's up to the member, and I would always err on the side of caution and declare an interest. I'll take any questions.
I've only got one question really, and it relates to the two different kinds of interest. Did you glean from anything she might have said where either of these things, I think a pecuniary interest is fairly straightforward, but personal interest I think is what might cause some people some concern and might indeed cause you concern, David. Did she give you any guidance on that at all, or did she just what she said apply to both kinds of interest really?
What she was talking about, no, pecuniary interest is pecuniary, so if you've got any connection with something that you earn some money from, or your partner, your spouse, or your family does, or your business would, or you work for a company that is taking money from something, and if you're employed in them, that is a pecuniary interest and you should declare it. And all the other things I've said, that's quite clear, and all the other things I've said were about what we would call personal interest. If that answers the question.
That's fine, that's fine.
Nice.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't vote on Agenda 8, West End Festival. I'm on Lancashire County Council, and I didn't vote on giving them any money because I'd given them £1,000 from Lancashire County Council. So that's that. And then I'm not on Lancaster City Council Planning Committee anymore, but I did sub last Monday for Arlene Bilmeyer, so I don't know if I have to declare an interest. I'm on planning. Oh, thank you.
We'll see if we can get some policy for the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I think, can we answer that now?
Yeah, please, yeah.
On
Just
the-
before people start
Sorry.
interests.
On the first scenario, Councillor Patterson, I know you haven't got any money from that, so it's not a pecuniary interest, but I think that is a definite interest because you've awarded something to do that. So
Should I go out on the festival bit or just that bit?
on that bit of the festival.
Ah, thank you.
On the second one, are you a name substitute member?
No. I just did it because there's no sub, so I just did it just a one-off.
Okay. I think if it was a one-off, if you're satisfied that if there's anything in this agenda that might end up at the City Council's next planning committee in October, if you give any knowledge that says you might end up subbing again,
Yeah.
I will declare the interest.
Yeah.
I think in the interest of that, I will declare it.
But yeah, I'm on the planning committee here.
Well, my advice on that is, if you're on our planning committee, I think you need to stay well away from Lancaster City Council's planning committee, even as a substitute member. Because on Monday in particular, I know you said the planning committee was discussing something and this council would put forward.
I'll go out then. Yeah.
So can we just keep these to questions about the context rather than declarations so far? Because
I was just going to be clear.
are any of the other ones questions about what David said? Yours is?
Mine's a question.
Right. So let's have questions from what David said for clarity, and then we'll start doing declarations when you're happy that you know what the rules are.
I mean, mine's a quick question in regards to page 45 top from our concert orchestra. I do actually attend this event quite regularly because I like that kind of music, quite partial to it occasionally. And I was intending to ask a question or make a point on it. And I paid to go. Where would I need to declare any kind of interest? And I also know the invitation as well.
Based on what the manager said to me earlier today, it's up to you whether you declare an interest, because you do know these gentlemen is in the same organisation as you, so that's up to you. But if you decide not to declare it, which is your choice, the manager's advice is you need to say in the interest of transparency, I'm not declaring interest, however, I do know the gentleman who is the applicant, because we're in the same organisation.
Yeah.
So, up to you.
Yeah, people get that distinction. Question up. And then we'll move on to declarations eventually.
No, it's too short for this. Right, so it's clarification because I volunteered on a couple of festivals, and so you're saying now that we declare that in the interest of transparency is not an interest, but that we volunteer.
What she's saying to me, Councillor Cosler, is if in her view that isn't an interest, I have to say to Clark, in my view it is. But if you don't think it is an interest that you want to declare, you should at least, the minimum you should say, in the interest of transparency, I help out at this event. But I don't say anything from it to go.
As for the other one, it's sort of partly a question and partly almost a clarification. When something came up in City Council, I had the same issue because I'm on the board of the Dukes, and the same monitoring officer, the new one, advised me that unless you were associating with the sort of person who come round to your house for tea, if I was on the board of the Dukes with somebody, that's one thing, or if I was in, Morecambe Bloom with them. But, if they were my best friend and they came round to the house for tea, that was something completely different. Because as you've said, it's like when people come to apply for festivals, you know most of them because this is a small town, And if you're involved at all in sort of the art scene, you actually know 90% of them. I think the only lady I didn't know the other day, in some measure, was a cycling festival woman, but that's because you haven't done it before.
My answer to that would be, everybody will know lots of people. And if we remember the advice that she's given me today, is her advice is it's not an interest, but in the interest of transparency, I will put it in minutes. As you said, it's not an interest in your opinion, but I do know this person.
I've met them socially or whatever,
Right. So with all of that on board, and the training that we've all had where people talk about what the man on the Clapham omnibus thinks, and all of that we've all seen, let's move to the bit where we actually declare interest, or say we're not declaring an interest, but in the interest of transparency, yada yada yada. So, we'll start with June and we'll work our way around, shall we?
Chair, I declare an interest on the command planning, Lancaster City Council, and when it comes to the planning, we're here asking the room.
Okay, thank you. Roger.
So, for the interest of transparency, I have in the past attended the Morecambe Promenade concert.
Thank you very much. Moving across.
I'm paid.
Unpaid.
Yeah, approximately that.
In that case, you're alive.
What Morecambe Promenade?
I have attended.
Promenade Orchestra, okay. Yeah, as a customer or did they invite you? Okay.
I'm on city planning.
Okay.
I also know an individual in the festivals.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, silly.
Right, well, thank you anyway. Marvellous. John?
I know almost everybody is involved in it.
Thank you.
I don't volunteer. And I don't have any benefit from it, so I don't consider I have any.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we'll try and be sensible. Just because you met somebody in the corner shop one afternoon doesn't make it an interest that's declarable. Now, Tracy, you're going to hit us with a really simple one now, aren't you?
No, it's not
Oh, you are?
No.
You told me about it
In
ages
interest of
ago.
transparency, I am a member of the Promenade Concert Orchestra in the same organisation.
What do you like, Charlotte?
Hang on. Also, in the interest of transparency, because we opened our doors to help people from the rains within an establishment that I work, and it was all done involuntary, is the West End event and also Make My Day event. That was purely helping the community.
Okay.
But also, I need to declare an interest, a pecuniary interest, is the fact that I do actually work very closely with the Fringe Festival and Splendid Day Out as they use my event that I work at.
Okay.
Where do I start?
Keep it sensible.
Right. I sit on the City Council Planning Committee.
That's a good easy one.
That's a good easy one. As for festivals, as I said, I have either been in the same association as, including things like Morecambe Artists Colony or whatever, or been involved with exhibitions from or whatever for pretty much everybody on the festivals thing except for the cycling lady. So,
Okay. Any more for any more? So we'll go to Terry next, yeah.
I'm not declaring an interest, but I volunteer for Splendid Day Out, and as for what I do there, whatever's needed to be done.
Okay. Yeah.
And Claire does the same.
We will so record. Max, you next.
The chair of festivals has just reminded me that I did declare an interest, I'll just remember it now, on Promenade Concert because I also gave Howard Rogerson £500 from Lancashire County Council. So I'm going to go out on Howard, I'm going to go out on West End Festival, and I'll go out on the planning bit, just in case. Thank you.
Very sensible. Any more? David, and then Debs.
Yeah, in the interest of transparency, I do declare an interest because I do try to attend most of the festivals. I don't always help out, but mainly the Promenade Concert Orchestra are paid, are paid to go to the concert, and I know the organiser in a different, in the same organisation. So it's just the same.
Yeah. Okay, Debs.
In the interest of transparency, I declare that my husband helps at Nice and Sleazy. I just go with the stockings and the drink and the beer, that's all I do.
Okay.
Stockings.
I must have missed that part. Brandon, anything? No?
I know all these. I know most of the people and most of the items. I'm not standing up here doing it all night.
Right. Yeah, well, absolutely. Right, good enough.
I have my interest online, which can be viewed at any point by anyone.
Thank you very much. And to finish off, I will declare an interest on a couple of fronts. I have been to the Promenade Orchestra, but as a guest of Mr. Rogerson, as one of his guests because of my association with Lancashire County Council. So that's definitely one. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't a paying customer. I was there as a guest. And eventually, if it goes above a certain amount, you have to declare it. And of course, we are, in the interest of transparency, he's a member of the same political organisation I'm a member of. Right, I think that's all declarations of interest. That's the longest declaration of interest ever we've ever had here, isn't it? It's clear as mud, isn't it? Okay, let's move on. Tricia, yes?
Can I suggest,
if you've got
perhaps
something.
ask the monitoring officer if they could come and address the council so we can ask the questions direct and then they don't have to go to these computers.
Yes, amen to that. We can do that, we can ask it. Go on then, yeah.
Yes, I have asked her if she'll come and do a training session for us, but if you want to come into this meeting, whatever's best. She wants to come to start this, or...
It's a huge chair, it's just that everybody's always here, whereas you have another night that sometimes they can't come. If it's just 20 minutes before the meeting or something.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. We'll have a word. Thank you very much for that, colleagues. Okay, moving swiftly on. Not. Item 3 on the agenda is the minutes. To approve the minutes of the meeting of Council held on the 20th of July 2017, and you can find these on pages 2 to 9 of your supporting papers. So, Tricia.
Yeah, just a couple of small points.
Yeah.
I noticed that Councillor Crozier was both apologies for absence and actually attended. And I would imagine that she attended because she's later on in the
I wasn't here at the last meeting, it was the annual general meeting of Morecambe Wednesday.
she's down on both
That's an attendee and as an apology, yeah.
she's down as an apology, but she's also declared an interest, so I don't see how she can do that.
No, you're absolutely right. You can't be both, can you?
I think that's just a standing interest.
And then there's another one underneath that's just a thing that
Yep.
who is Mary?
So we'll go on.
Resolved Mary.
Mary. Oh yeah. Meaning held resolved. Mary 2017. She knew council I've got this young called Mary. We've done that. We will amend them accordingly, colleagues. Thank you. Fair enough. Okay, good. Anyway, other than those amendments that have been quite rightly pointed out to us, can we have a proposal and a seconder to move them as a record of that meeting? With those amendments, of course. Yeah. Max? You'll move them. Any seconds? Yeah, Brendan? Okay. Okay. Can we formally vote on them then, just to make sure that we've done that properly? All those in favour of accepting the minutes as a true record with the amendments that have been so duly put forward? Thank you very much. That's clearly carried. Okay. Right. Number 4 is public participation. Before we move to public participation, I'll see if any members of the public actually want to participate. It's only a good start. So, oh gosh, I'm throwing up there. Right, so we've got Sean and Julie and Sonia. Any others? No? Marvellous. Well, as they went up in that order, we'll do them in that order. Just to be clear, the public participation part of this is 3 minutes where you can speak on something that's on tonight's agenda. So it has to be something that we're talking about this evening, or is in the minutes of the committees that are being approved this evening. So with that in order, with that in mind, we've got a microphone at the front, just because the acoustics from the back aren't particularly helpful. So, Sean, if you'd like to come forward, please. And what I'll do is I'll time you for the 3 minutes. When you've got a minute left, I'll give you a 1 minute warning. Okay, yeah, just at the front here, next to David. That'd be lovely, thank you. Yeah, they're all right for the sound. And of course, colleagues won't be reminding that it's tradition for us to hear these comments without intervention. So yes, Councillor. Yes.
I believe at the time we talked about you were beneath in planning commission. Is that right?
Yes.
So I wasn't given.
Okay. Fair enough.
Are we allowed to hear it? Not allowed to make a decision on it.
We're not going to be voting on anything this evening.
No, I know, but
If you think it's safest
no,
for
I
you,
don't have any influence on
okay, if you think it's safer for you not to be in the room, that's personal choice, because you will hear all of these things. I'm not even sure whether it's on that yet.
So, Chair, I know it's something on planning.
I think it's likely to be a planning issue.
Are we going to be talking about planning issue, Sharon?
Yes, it's a planning issue.
It's a planning issue,
It's on the
right.
agenda.
So if you want to be extra safe, this is the point to walk out now. No disrespect to Sharon, but this is probably just protecting you to make a discussion decision later on. Okay, I'll just let my colleagues from the planning committee go. I'll go if I were you.
You've been longing to see that, haven't you?
We'll give you a call back in, cuz, alright?
Okay, thank you.
In about an hour's time.
I'm not planning to say that one, I'm not going to. Right, okay, so now that, so everybody's happy, nobody sits on planning, we're all alright, we've closed the doors, fantastic. So 3 minutes,
Yes.
and we'll hear this instant respectful silence, and over to you.
Thank you, President. I was very interested in this discussion on declarations of interest, because it suddenly occurred to me, I'm sorry I'm taking up my 3 minutes for this, that 3 members in this room have awarded £400 towards the project that I've come to speak about tonight, and they haven't declared an interest, which I thought qualified for what they were saying. So I'll leave it to ponder upon that. But I'm talking about Walker bid has awarded £400 towards the licence fee. Can you hear me?
Not very well, Sharon. Can you bring the other one?
I just want to mention that Walker bid has awarded £400 towards the marine licence fee for the Bell project, but I haven't seen that qualifies declaration of interest material after what David here said in the meeting. Can I start my 3 minutes now?
You've already started.
Yeah,
Go on. I'm not that strict.
So, thank you for your speak. I'm here on behalf of the Morgan Arts Colony. We've been liaising with the Town Council over the Time and Tide Bell project, which is a national project which will bring a lot of reputation to Morecambe and help tourism here. It's said to me that the Plan Committee met, and although, and I'm pleased about this, they welcomed the proposal to go ahead with this, they were concerned on 2 issues. I then realised that I'm at fault for not putting enough information in the supporting papers which I supplied to Next City Plans, which would have been circulated, I should imagine, to Morgan Town Council Planning. So I apologise for that. The papers that I could have put in would have given more information on the way noise travels over distance. The concern of your planning committee was that the buildings near the Bell, which is on the Stone Jetty, would be affected by the noise. In fact, that's not the case, and I produced supporting evidence of this, supplied it to the clerk, to the chair of planning, and I believe it's been circulated. Only 3 buildings are near the Bell, the Midland Hotel, the lifeboats, and the Stone Jetty Cafe. The concerns were about noise at night. I then produced some technical information for the Midland, which they were completely happy with, and they now support the project. The second issue that they were concerned about was vandalism at the Bell. And I can't imagine why people would support to vandalise the Bell, which didn't get to through soft marble by boat, rather than the other structures on the Stone Jetty. So I think that concern in discussion could have been developed into a not serious enough to be too worried about. In fact, I'm making sure it's a planning consideration. Apart from that, I've supplied, as project manager on this, 10 documents to support this application. Months of work, lots of technical information, lots of support and research into the environment and so on. And I'm fully confident it's going to go through Leicester City Planning. And we've been awfully upset that our relationship with the Town Council would not be based on full support as well, but we'd have a black mark in the record of how these discussions were made. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for that. Right. Just before, actually, David, hold on 1 second. Just before you go and get back in. Julie and Sonia, are either of you talking about anything to do with planning?
No.
Praise be. Then come back in.
Should I read?
everybody else thinks
Yeah.
really funny things. I know that's come back in.
Really, it's just a case, it's something we've never done, it's just giving our viewpoints that really what is this.
Yeah, no problem. Right, okay. Right then.
Everybody's
So,
in?
you've got 3 minutes again. I'll give you a 1 minute warning when you...
And Welsh, you've got to give me a big nudge.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go.
Okay, well, I've been a resident in Sefton Road in Morecambe for 7 years. It's an absolute, the top end of Sefton Road has got amazing neighbours. We all help each other. There's lots of kids and families there. We've got terraced houses. The house opposite me has always had mental health patients inside the property. 3 years ago, we've had to get 2 of them evicted through being sectioned, through verbal and physical violence against the children. They take prostitutes to the house every other night. We've got drug addicts. The police probably come, I would say, on every other day to try and sort them out. But we've got one particular resident there at the moment who's threatened to throw acid in our face. He's got machetes. He's been hammering his flatmates with hammers in the door in front of tiny children. He's kicked all his windows out with shards of glass with blood everywhere. There's the whole lanes at the back of Sefton Road are covered in syringes, so our children can't play out there anymore. The police, Sam Wilkinson, the local police constable, has been absolutely fantastic. But to be honest, we just cannot seem to get anything done. That's all we have to do is go home. We've had to fit CCTV to the house, and we've got no care for us as residents. It's all to do with the mental health of these 3 people that live in this property. And we've actually had to put up with this now for 6 years. And with no help whatsoever. And day in and day out, we've had people visiting that are just obviously people who are homeless. And really our hands are being tied because there's no social carers for these people who are on medication because they're psychotic. So they just stand in the street shooting up. Really, we feel, as neighbours, we've approached the guy who owns the property, and we've been told by the police that there's nothing we can do. We're not allowed to ask him to evict these people. And I know, for funding purposes, it's difficult where do you put them, but do we have to put up with these sorts of people in where we live every day? It's absolutely disgusting. We're at the end of our tether. We have small children who are being threatened to put syringes in their neck day in, day out. They're actually outside the house drinking 24 hours a day. And to me, what do we pay our taxes for? The police are dropping him off with no clothes on. He stands in the street with his pants. And that's what we have to put up with on a daily basis. Where does, we just really need help from people to find out why social services are turning their backs on these kind of people. And now he's been sectioned because we've had to continually last week call the police to come out 999, and he's actually been sectioned, but he will come back so we can breathe easy, and the children have to be locked in the houses at night. When we've got such a brilliant community, everybody looks after each other's children, and really it's not good enough. And really I just wanted people to be aware that the West End, it's not all bad, but we have certain pockets that are really bad, and everybody turns a blind eye to it because it's not on where they have to live. And people who are, in great areas, you don't have to deal with it. So I'd like to be able to see what people can do for people like us who are working class, having to put up with these wasters because that's all they are. They're just drug addicts. And they're just disturbing our peace. Sonia's having to move out because the children are so nervous. One lady's got care of her 3 grandchildren, and they've come from a violent background, and she has to listen to them hammering each other at night through the walls. She's scared that they're going to come through to her property. It's just really not fair. So I'm hoping that somebody will maybe follow something up and give us our neighbourhood back and not allow these things to happen in the future, and the landlord should be held accountable. Okay, thank you for listening anyway. Okay, appreciate that.
I won't speak because she said everything what I was going to say anyway, so...
Right, well, I think everybody that was just listening to that, other than the fact that they heard the passion in your voice about your community, also could sense the frustration. And there are people in this room that I know are furiously scribbling notes right now about what can be done from their point of view. We've got some councillors that have got positions outside of this chamber where they can do some good. I hope that they will try and take the time at the end of the meeting to come and talk to you, maybe get your contact details and get some stuff done. I'm getting some notes from colleagues over that side for sure. Say no. We don't normally respond to them, but...
It's not a response, it's just to say I've actually witnessed the gentleman in question because it's rather looking like that.
Yeah, right. If you can speak to the ladies afterwards and see what we can do, practically, of course, because that's the important bit, is people want practical help on them. Right, thank you very much for all of that. I think David's just been doing some liaison there, so that's great. Right, okay. So we get back to the main agenda, which is item 5, which is the Planning Development Environment Committee from the 7th of August and the 4th of September. And again, those of you that are on here, and this could be an opportunity for a couple of you to have a quick word with Julie and Sonia, actually. Thanks for sharing that. It's awfully good. She hasn't got any juice. Zero, the team are happy to. Okay, right, so I'll hand over to the chair of the committee, Councillor Whittaker.
Thank you. There's two meetings I need to speak to this evening, and we'll go back to the 7th of August. I just want to draw attention to page 12 in regard to our, as a committee and as a town council, our firm opposition was voiced about the Aldi extension that took place on the promenade. Unfortunately, our pleas were not really acknowledged or positively acknowledged, or just dismissed by the committee, and sadly it's been passed. I think I'm personally disappointed by this decision, because I think there's a lot of points we put forward, and my colleague Councillor Bates spoke at that meeting. I think Mr. Croxall did. I attended part of that meeting. Unfortunately, I had to go off to work, but I just felt when it was being presented, I just think it's it's like a salesman technique. They sell it to the committee. But however, having said that, the decision's been taken, and let's hope they do take on board our concerns, and let's see some leisure use, because the biggest concern is the loss of the leisure facility. Sadly, that's not really a planning, legitimate planning concern to take on board. The next item is on the bottom of page 13, and that's to do with a community fund we've got, where members of the community can come forward and suggest ideas to put good into the community or improve certain areas. And there's been some excellent suggestions put forward, but I think we've got to be, not boost people's expectations. Obviously, and I think what we're going to do is get a meeting with Mark Davis, who's our Chief Environmental Officer at City Council, to just do a bit of a liaison and see where we can go forward. And also, it's an opportunity for us to put forward our concerns to him as well. So hopefully that will be taking place at the next meeting. Bottom of page 14 is just issues that were raised with the Allotments Association. We know we have got a good relationship with them as well, and we are attending meetings with them on a regular basis. Moving forward to the 4th of September, which is the item that attracted the attention of the speaker. And Sean, thanks for coming to speak. She spoke quite eloquently, and I'm hoping that what she said has cleared one or two issues up, or cleared some concerns up that were voiced at that meeting. So I would be that's me personally, I'd be more than happy to just change the wording to that, to say that we welcome the application, hope it's successful, but note that there was some concerns at the planning committee meeting, and hopefully they've been eradicated tonight following the speaker, Sean. So I'd like to move that, please. And then I'll
go on, John, as your vice chair.
I'd just like to say two things. First of all, I'd like to ask David if we move the two sets of minutes separately, because I feel that I must apologise, because I think belatedly now, I think I should have apologised at the last committee meeting, because I'm a member of the bid board, and I don't think I should have been present when they were discussing the time and time. So I want to go out now when those minutes are moved and discussed, because I think I should have. For what it's worth, I, at the time, I'm not sure whether I should say this or not now, I don't think it influenced me to favour the application, if that's any help. And I will explain privately if anybody wants to know why that is. But so I'd like to discuss that as a separate item. I'd like to leave you to discuss that as a separate item. But I do want to say something about the first set of minutes and about our application, our objection to the Aldi application. I just want to put a slight view on what David said in his report for that meeting. He's quite right, of course, that the vote was 13-2 against our objection. But I think it would be true to say that there were quite a lot of councillors there who, well, maybe not quite a lot, but a few councillors there, who expressed the view that they would have liked to have voted against the application if they had felt they could on legitimate planning grounds. And the reason that they can't on legitimate planning grounds, I don't think it's because of legitimate planning grounds at all. I think there were legitimate planning grounds for voting against it. But of course the recommendation from the City Council's officers was that the application should be passed. Those who serve on the City Council or do serve on it now will know that it's a very serious business for City Councillors to overturn recommendation from City Council officers. There are potential financial implications for the council in doing so, and they're very unhappy about doing it. And I just want to draw your attention to that. It wasn't quite as cut dry as you might think from the result, and I'd also, while I'm at it, like to put on record my feeling that it's an absolute democratic disgrace that councils are so restricted in their ability to make decisions according to their beliefs and their feelings, that they have to feel they have to follow recommendations from officers. I think it's fine to take advice from officers, but the councils are the ones who are elected to make the decisions, and they should be able to make the decisions, having questioned officers, but they should be able to make the decisions. And then that decision should then be available for appeal, but councils shouldn't have to bear the cost of that appeal. I think they should be, it restricts what they feel they can, the decisions they feel they can make, and that to me is not democracy. Having said that, I'd like to step out while you move on with the second alphabet. It's coming again, I won't give it.
Thank you very much for that, Jim.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just absolutely gobsmacked by that decision, for so many reasons. Talking about the Aldi decision the other night, I'm pretty certain there were valid planning reasons why it could have been, why it could have been not given permission. I mean, that land for a start, I think it's designated as leisure, designated for the leisure of the ceremony, isn't it? Not for just out and out commercial land. And then when councillor, sorry, I don't know his name. So, you know, if council is on the planning committee, you're just going to be nodding dogs to the planners, then it's a sorry state of affairs. You know, they've got their own mind, they've got to look after their own areas, they've got to look after their own business, and it's not the first time that I've seen Lancaster City Council planners putting that much pressure on the councillors and making inappropriate decisions in certain areas, and this is certainly one of them, in my opinion. And that's it, because Morecambe is getting its mojo, like there's a lot more visitors coming into Morecambe, and from the Midland Hotel going towards there, fantastic, from the Midland Hotel going towards the West End, that's going to leave a yawning gulf now of, well, it's going to leave a big Asda in a car park. You know, that's not going to attract any visitors. If we're going to increase the offer of Morecambe as a tourist resort, and I can only see it being a block to the possible frontier land development, because, well, you know, that area next to us is going to be for leisure for, you know, people coming in to enjoy themselves. But it's not now, it's just going to be a car park and an holiday. So that's, you know, the owners of that frontier land, I think they're not going to be very happy with it. And the redevelopment of the West End is going to be severely limited now after that decision. And I think I'd like to go on record as saying I think it's an appalling decision by LCC. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy?
I've got a complete different opinion to yourself. I understand why people feel the way they do, but looking at the fact that this building, this bowling alley was going anyway, I look at it as the fact that it's a tin. It's one big tin can. It isn't a beautiful building like the Winter Gardens. If it was like that, then I would have said, no, it's not going anywhere. But it's an empty tin can, and that's what it would be. And the empty tin can would go rusty and wouldn't be maintained and would look like an eyesore on the promenade. My other viewpoint is the fact that I'd rather see a well-maintained building like Aldi that is well used and serves the community and offers a lot to our standard of living, because it's not an expensive shop. It's a shop that helps us all in general, really. So I actually agree that what is happening should happen, because I can't see any other way forward with it. That tin can could stand there for many years as development can slowly happen within our environment. So I'm all for it. And also, I'm also for the bell. I think the bell, because I was at all the beginning of the meetings, I think the bell is going to be one of the biggest attractions, because there ain't many of them, and they're going to be dotted around the country. And in these early meetings, they did say how they would tone the bell, how it softened the bell, so it wouldn't become a noise within the town. It would actually be mellow.
Thank you. To be quite honest, I have no particular feelings about Aldi one way or the other. My concern is the two little local shops that are stuck on the end of the bowling alley. Are they going? There's a tattoo parlour and a bed shop. Are they going to be reallocating a property in this deal, or is it yet two more local people losing their livelihoods? And the bell's got to go on. It's a beautiful idea.
Well, I'll intervene on my own behalf from a secondary position. I've spoken to Greg Lambert, the visitor this week. He's interviewed the people who run Tongue and Groove, and they will be relocating. They're going to continue to trade in the town. He hasn't got one way or the other from from the bed shop as it stands at the moment, but I think anybody from Morecambe will know that there are retail spaces that would suit that very nicely, thank you. I expressed my disappointment that the other day that Super Bowl was having to close in the first place. There's a number of reasons why it hasn't been viable, and it's not just about the throughput of clients, some of it's about the floor space and the fact that absolutely kills them on business rates, which are of course set by not local government, at whatever level they are, but set centrally, and they've been getting battered on business rates, unfortunately, and that's made it non-viable. You've probably seen in the paper this week that Solly is looking to have a bowling alley at Pleasureland upstairs, so there is that. But I think the concerns of this council that were passed on to planning committee were well made, and they were done extremely eloquently. I understand David, the clerk, spoke. I know John spoke on your behalf as well, and I think that's our role, is to pass on the concerns of our residents, and it's absolutely right that we do that. And you can have your own view on whether it's a good idea or not. The one thing I will tell you is that, as far as I can see, that planning law is skewed in favour of the developer and not in favour of communities, and that can't be right. And the reason I know that is because the fallow ground next to Aldi, as it stands at the moment, has had planning permission for very nearly 3 years, and other than getting rid of a bit of scrub and putting some fences up, which they were forced to do by the council anyway, and getting rid of the padlock tower, what have they done? I'm not seeing any shops. I'm not seeing any movement on it. The hotel's pulled out. The harvester that's attached to the hotel's pulled out. So I've got enormous sympathy for those people who run local businesses, who look at the situation, and Aldi must have made tailors a very nice offer. They must have done, or else they wouldn't have accepted it. And we can decry that all we like, but I, for one, I have to take my personal responsibility for this, my personal blame for it. I've not been in the Super Bowl for ages, so I haven't put my money through the door. So I'm a part of the problem. I'm a part of the blame because I've not used it, not since my kids were that big, probably. But you're absolutely right, Jim. Just planners drive horse and cart through these decisions, don't they? I mean, when I say planners, I mean those who are putting the application in, knowing full well that actually the parameter to stop things happening is the deck is in the favour of those who are making the application, aren't they? I think anybody who's sat anywhere near a planning committee knows that, and I know there's lots of experience in this room, not least on this side of the chamber.
But don't you think that that land was actually allocated as leisure land?
Shopping is co-designated as leisure, so it's still designated as leisure. But some people, but under planning rules, it's the same deal.
It's gone forever.
But as I said the other day, 6 or 8 weeks' time, people will get an announcement about something really exciting happening in Morecambe, and hopefully that will cheer people up a little bit. I won't say what it is now because I'm not allowed. I'm a tease. I've been saying it in the radio for the last 3 weeks, but anyway. Right, so are you moving both of those documents together now that John's not here?
I'll move, because going back to the 4th of September, those minutes have passed now, and I think I'd move them and move on to the 4th of September, yeah. But I would like to specifically move pages 16 to the top of pages 17, the bullet points there, because that's probably the most important one about our, the issue with the time bell, time and tide bell, and I think, I would move that we support it now, taking on board what the Speaker has related to us tonight, after we've had clarification.
As you move an amendment to your own report?
Yeah.
Roger, yes sir.
Chair,
which page you on?
I'm talking about the same point that's been raised, the paragraph council recommended to.
Yeah.
We are in a difficult position with this because the planning committee looked at the application as it was submitted to the City Council and they had a copy of the planning application. They raised, I can argue that perhaps the stone jetty may cause unsatisfactory rather than would cause, may, but one of the concerns I've got is that there is usually on an installation of this nature, there is a need for some technical stuff. Now, we don't understand a lot of the technical stuff that's going along, and people can say, yeah, it's not going to cause a problem. The corollary to that is what happens if it does. Now, I would suggest that if we say may cause unsatisfactory thing, but we fully support it, then it's really down to the planning authority and the officers of planning authority, presumably those who are acoustically trained and what have you, will look at this and see if there is a problem. If there is a problem, they'll make recommendations to condition it. If there's not a problem, it'll go through. So I actually do think, as a planning committee, we are required to try and make sure that applications go forward and to minimise the potential disruption on other people. And I think as we've raised the point, it doesn't seem unreasonable that we say to the City Council, those are concerns, can you have a look at it, get your specific experts to have a look at it. If there's a problem, you can condition it. If there's not a problem, it can be passed straight through. So I actually think that the most sensible thing to do is to make sure that when we pass a planning application, it does concern and it does affect potentially guests at a hotel, potentially residents and what have you. The problem that I've got is people can say, yeah, there's never been a case of vandalism on this bell and what have you. And there's a lovely one in Hastings of, a Norman Knight. It's never been vandalised. Sadly, the one we've got in Morecambe, of Eric Morecambe, has been. And I think it's something perhaps, it's an unfortunate thing, but perhaps it may be raised. But it's what the officers and the professional officers, the engineers, and presumably environmental health people will be able to look at and say, yes, it's a problem, or no, there isn't. Thank you.
So you're recommending that we would support it in the event that mitigation was put in?
I think the stone jetty, I think we put would in the wording. I think it's probably sensible to put may. And because that's just asking, can you have a look at it? You'll need to look at what the bell is and what it does, and they'll have a look at it, and their technical people will say, yes, there's a problem, no, there isn't. And whatever it is, they'll say, can you do this? And presumably, if everybody agrees with that, it's done.
And if David's happy to change that when he moves the report, then that's absolutely fine. Just in the interests of fairness and clarity, by the way, let's be clear, Eric Morecambe's statue was not vandalised. It was attacked by somebody with severe mental health problems. That is not an act of vandalism, that is somebody who's ill, who is then acting outside of what we would...
I appreciate the wording, but it was the problem that
it's not Scally's damaging stuff, is it? Which is something that we're all concerned about in this town. David, are you happy to go with may rather than would? I've got you, Brendan.
Yeah, but before you move this on,
I'm just, go on.
Have you got a helpful intervention for us all?
well, it's not hopeful, but I mean,
Go on.
I'm the chairman of the bid, by the way, and I had no idea we gave money to this, so, that's my interest gone. But
it's not an interest,
no, it's actually, it was on your committee, wasn't it? The Shout Down committee.
Sorry, Chair, I also am on the bid and I didn't know the money was given, so. And besides that, I don't think it is a community interest because it's not, in no way, in all my experience, this is not a community interest.
I agree. So all I was going to say now to close that up is surely the wording, the positioning of the bell could attract vandalism due to its exposed position. Whose professional opinion is that? Seriously, how can we as a council say that's it's objective. I think it's quite objective that you could put anything anywhere and it'd be exposed to vandalism. Why should that affect this application? I just don't get that. You could put a light up somewhere and it'd be exposed to vandalism, but surely that's not a planning issue.
It won't be taken as a planning issue.
It wouldn't be.
So why put it in? That's my question.
I'm sorry, you've already had an intervention. The mover of the report will sum up and hopefully answer these questions. Can you kind of wind us up now, please, David, and get us to a resolution?
I will try and round you up. It's caused a lot of discussion and all that, and take on board what everyone's said. And on balance, I think our worries have been eradicated by the speaker tonight. So I'm moving that we just welcome the planning application. And note the discussions that took place at the planning committee have been eradicated. I do take on board that, we do need to have a risk analysis, I suppose, but as my colleague Brendan has stipulated tonight, anything's at risk of vandalism. This building could be at risk of vandalism. The artwork could be at risk. So I would move that we just move forward and welcome this application. Okay. And I'll welcome it to the put forward that to the City Council planning.
Well, you're the chair of the committee, that you just moved that report with that amendment in mind. Are there any seconders for that report as it stands? Councillor Brown, thank you very much. Okay, it's up to, and you're moving both of those reports simultaneously,
I am,
You are? Okay. Right, in which case, members will make their own choice on whether they're going to vote for or against the reports as a whole. Okay, that's not my choice, is it? The recommendation from the clerk is that you move the bell change as a separate thing outside of the two reports.
Yeah.
Just to make it easier for people.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move the whole report, plural, 1 and 2, and then go the bell.
Yeah.
And then if people want to, rather than vote on the entire report down, you can at least do that much, and that'll hopefully satisfy colleagues' concerns. Okay. Right. So we're just voting on the reports, the August and September reports as they are. Okay. Yes. Right. So all those in favour as they stand at the moment. Okay, that's clearly carried, thank you. Right, and now you're going to move the amendment to the recommendation on the bell. And have you got a seconder anyway? Councillor McCall, you there? Okay, and we'll vote separately on that now as well. So all those in favour of accepting the chair's changes to those recommendations? Okay. And we will record this, just so colleagues know. 11. Okay, and those against? Just so we know. Okay. Any abstentions? And an abstention. Thank you. Just so we know that we've got the count on it. Wonderful. Okay. Right, thanks, David. We're getting there. Okay, we'll get everybody back in, and then we've got another couple of three to do, and then we're out. I lost the will after the declarations of interest, to be honest with you. All this parish council on the line, it's dead easy, isn't it? I'll take that as good advice. Okay, now then, Community Safety Committee is next, which is on page 19 of your supporting packs. So if you flip through to page 19. Marvellous. Okay, so as the chair of that committee is not with us this evening, I'll hand over to Councillor Cliff, who will talk us through the recommendation. So Ian, over to you.
Well, we had the meeting on 16th of August. It was very well attended, and I think it's a very good committee and a very good meeting where plenty of participation was taken from all councillors who were there. The report as it is in front of you, and I think we're just looking to come to an agreement on the way forward and take a vote on what the report says, which is on page 22. The recommendations are as they are. I think anybody wishes to comment on it, they're quite welcome to do so.
Councillor Heath has volunteered to second the recommendations. Thank you very much. Okay, have we got any questions or comments on the report as it stands at the moment? We don't? Marvellous. Shall we move to a vote? This is the easiest one of the night. Right, okay, all those in favour of accepting them? Do you know what? I think that's unanimous. Yay! We can do it.
We're all there, isn't that?
Yes.
Please can I just clarify, we've just approved the minutes. On page 24-25 was a document that I've produced working with the Environmental Health Department, which Anthony came to the meeting, which would form the basis, a suggested basis for the SLA with Lancaster City Council as a way of going forward. So in approving those minutes, just wanted to make sure that everybody's read that and everybody's happy with that document.
What's 26 that really...
Yeah, you're getting a lot of nods around there. Yeah, you're getting a lot of nods. So members were aware what we were voting on, that's not it. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, right, let's move on. Item 7, this is Finance and Management Committee. Hey, well, no heck. Right, and that's from the 11th of September, and these are on the supporting pack pages 27 to 41, and I'll hand over to the chair of the committee, Brendan Hughes. Over to you, Ben.
Nothing really that interesting to report on this. We set the provisional festivals and events budget at the same as last year. We've had to increase the elections budget due to all sorts of by-elections. We haven't received bills for some of them yet, so we've put 12,000 in there. Hopefully we won't use all that, but we just need to ensure we have the money there. We've had a few issues with the toilets, but all being said, the fact that the building hasn't been open for 20 odd years, I think we've done quite well actually. We've spent a little bit over budget, but let's be honest, a budget is just a rough estimate of how much you need to spend to do something. David's kept a close eye on the finances of it, kept the committee in the loop, and I think he's done a good job on it. We are always going to get, whenever you look after a building, you are always going to get ongoing issues with it, and that's a risk we took with opening the toilet. But we're providing a great service to the public, I believe. Other than that, I think there was nothing more exciting than the toilets, I'm afraid. Okay, so I'd just like to move the report as a whole, unless anyone's got any questions, toilet or not toilet related.
I've got Councillor Heath to start with.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to, on the last recommendation on page 33, about the notice boards, I'd like to ask if we could add the details of how council money is spent. Because a lot of people just don't understand what our money goes on and what the difference is between the different councils. I mean, for instance, the War Memorial, Environment Enforcement Officer, the toilets, grants given and to whom, and the festivals we pay for, and how much each one gets. Because I think people would be interested in seeing that.
I think, to be fair, my recollection was that we discussed that on the phone, we'd agreed that.
It's not
I thought we'd agreed, to be fair, I thought we'd agreed it. Yeah, fair enough. So we'll amend them to reflect that, yeah, that we're going to put a pie chart of some sort in there, because we've got the technology for that.
Or maybe we just put a copy of the budget in there.
Yeah, I think better than a pie chart.
Or something that people can understand now.
Yeah, but just too detailed, you won't be able to show it all.
No, if you want. It needs to be simple.
Pie charts.
No, pie charts are
That's what we've done in the past.
Let's get some pie charts in there.
Anyway, we'll bring it back to the committee and we'll probably have a few options to go through. I've got Jim next.
Can we have some line graphs?
Do you want to pile in? Sorry, David just wants to come in very quickly before members continue with their questions.
Just
Sorry.
point of clarification on page 27. It comes to my attention that in the resolution number 13, it's potentially slightly misleading. This would actually need to be corrected at the next meeting, the Finance Committee, when they approve their minutes. Where it talks about Councillor Brayshaw being no resigned as a member of this council. He is still a member of the coastal, I forget its title now, but not as a member of the town council, obviously. So really that means you should say he is still a member, but not as a town councillor. He's a representative. I understand as a more kind of a cooperative.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going for? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just to correct that one. And the other one was just it was saying something different. It's just the seconder in page 30. It's got down chairs seconding it. I think it was Councillor Hutton.
Where are we on 30?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth line up from the bottom on page 30.
Yeah, I know I moved it.
Sorry, what's going on?
The one about keeping the festivals budget as is.
Yeah.
It says.
Yeah.
It was further proposed
by Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Hutton.
It says me, but I remember moving it originally. But
yes, no, you did speak on it, Chair, but it's at the end.
yeah, the bit up, you can see that, right, on the bottom of page 30.
I can read it. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Councillor Dennison's recollection is different to what's written down.
Only in one respect. The seconder.
I would have to go with the minute taker.
If I go back to my notes, I've written down, so that would be wrong on my notes, because I've written down DC/DH, which means Councillor Arnold, Councillor Clifford moved it and Councillor Austin seconded it.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, perhaps I would say, he was in front. Yeah, it was two H's.
Okay.
So we can...
Right, okay.
Only correction, that's all.
Right, no drama. That's dead easy. Okay. Anything else on? Right, so Jim, sorry for keeping you.
Thank you. It's only for my knowledge really. On page 39, the budget, the second time allocated for youth cable. I know I've already discussed that before. That's not something that's actually happening at the moment. That second time is just there just to so that we don't forget. Just before and staying in the future maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm aware that there are inevitably going to be proposals coming forward as the budget process moves on, insofar as how that resource can best be used. And I know colleagues in the room right now have got some very interesting ideas that I would tend to support in particular. It's just to give it a budget head as it stands at the moment, because it was an idea. We've got Terry next. Terry, something to get you.
Cheers, I've got some information on last year, after we given all the money to the festival organisers, we had, give or take, £1,100 left. Now I can remember at this full council saying it has to be ring-fenced for next year's festivals. We were allocated 55 for the current festivals and 55 for next year. Where's the 1,100 quid gone?
Okay, that's expensive.
Well, why didn't you share it?
I'm going on holiday next week.
Councillor Metcalfe's correct, there was a resolution we're not at the end of the financial year yet, so we don't know exactly how much underspend there will be in that budget. So it's only at that point can you then take that money forward to next year.
So it hasn't disappeared?
No.
Because I think the minute said from recollection that any underspending of budget would be recommended be carried forward to be used with festivals. But also your standing orders say that at the end of the financial year, so that recommendation is okay, but the standing orders also say at the end of the financial year you've got to pass a resolution to carry money forward. It's not being spent on a budget to be used in a similar fashion next year, adding to the budget. So you can't do that until you get to the end of the year.
We can't have it till next year.
So it would be available next year, but in my view, it's a technicality. In my view, you can't allocate that money now because you can't make that decision formally to carry it forward, because that's what your standing orders say. I'm sorry, financial regulations say.
That's what I said. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thanks. Go next.
Yeah, I just wondered about these notice boards. How often do you update them? I'm sure that one in Eastern North hasn't had any. I think the pictures are that faded, you can't tell who the councillors are. So I just wondered if you could update them regular and maybe, telephone numbers at councillors if they agree. And the Facebook page as well, I just wondered how often you update them. Thank you.
Okay, on the notice boards, we update them most weeks. We haven't updated the sheet of other councillors, so we will change that. On the Facebook page, we probably don't update that as much as we should, to be quite honest. Happy Girl does most of that, that's my own fault. While she's been on holiday for last week, I haven't touched the Facebook page, to be quite honest, so I'll look at that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. Are we, notwithstanding those little tweaks that we've done along the way, we all like to vote on this now? Marvellous. Okay. So all those in favour of accepting the recommendation of the report, please shout. That's clearly carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, colleagues. All right. And last but not least is the Festivals and Events Committee from the 13th of September. That's pages 42 onwards in your supporting packs. Ooh, nice, okay.
Is it alright if you mention each one and then we can go out on each one that would be clear?
I think, given the conversation that we all had earlier on about declarations of interest, during which, most of us would have quite happily left the room voluntarily, given that, I think we've got to, we're going to have to move to the separate recommendations, or else we're in danger of not being quorum. Okay. So, I'll hand over to who's going to move the report. Terry, you're going to move the whole. You're going to move the report in instalments, if you don't mind. So
Right, you're going to move it in instalments. Well, the first thing we agreed that we would take 5,000 out of the 55 for publicity, which was passed unanimously, which left us with 50. Right, where do you want to start? Promenade concerts. Oh, what up? I'll charge.
Stand fast.
Everybody gone, right. Promenade concerts did not receive a grant because they scored less than the minimum of 18. They got 16.2.
Okay. You're moving that?
Yeah.
We're going to write a proposer and a seconder for that recommendation. We've got a proposer and a seconder. Okay, so we'll vote on these individually and then we'll drag people in and out as and when, okay. So to support that recommendation of the committee, can we have those in favour? Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, that's clearly carried. Thank you, guys. Sorry again?
Against.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll have against, yeah. Against. Yeah. And we'll have one abstention as well, thank you.
Right, the second one is the Lantern Festival.
Is the person that's gone out? declaring an interest on the Lantern Festival. That's a stretch out. We'll just drag it back in. This is going to be a little bit kind of yo-yo-y, isn't it? But okay. You're too young to remember that one. Okay, ready? Right, so on with the Lantern Festival. Yes, go for it.
The Lantern Festival wanted 4,000 and they got 2, although the committee felt that the content and additions planned for the festival were well thought out. Funding this festival to the full amount requested would mean that other good festivals wouldn't get any money.
Okay, so you're moving that recommendation. Do you have a second for that recommendation as it stands? Yeah. We'll do a mix of that, yeah. Brooks has got one thing. Okay. Yeah. Keep your vocal cords to the Liberal.
Is that maybe better or worse?
I'm not sure. Right, okay, we'll vote on that then. All those in favour of accepting that recommendation? Okay, that's clearly carried. Anybody want to vote against or abstain? Right, okay, fine. Okay, West End Festival. Does anybody have to leave the building for the West End? Alright, okay. Good Lord. It's just hang around by the door. Jesus. Right, okay.
West End Festival wanted 3, and we agreed to 2.5. Although the committee felt that the content and addition plan for the festival were well thought out, blah blah blah, exactly the same as the Lantern Festival.
Yeah, thank you very much. And a seconder for that. Thank you very much. We've got a bunch of people there. Fantastic. Okay, we'll vote on that one as well. West End Festival, all those in favour of supporting West End Festival, fantastic. That's brilliant, clearly carried. Okay, now then, anyone need a walk out for Catch the Wind?
Max probably.
Did Max come back in for Catch the Wind or not? I don't know. We'll just check. I don't know why she went out.
Yeah, tell her just keep sticking her head into let us know she's there.
Why did she walk out for West End? Oh, for a council fair. Alright, fair enough. Alright, just alright. She might. You didn't give any money to Catch the Wind, did you?
I didn't know.
Go on, Tess.
Catch the Wind wanted 12,000, and we gave them 4 for the same reasons as the last 2. Because if we gave them all that, other people wouldn't get one. We could have 1 festival instead of 3.
Thank you. Is that a question or a second in-depth?
No, question, please.
Question on this one.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
My question is, looking at the scoring, and I apologise because I don't quite understand what all the criteria is, but looking at the scoring, somebody that's got the highest scoring has had a bigger percentage of loss compared to other festivals. Is that the fairest criteria that you follow? So somebody that's asked for 3,500 and had a lower score but only lost £500, yet the Catch the Wind and the Vintage, they've had a bigger percentage of loss. Is that how you measure it?
No,
it's basically they've asked for a particular increase for a particular thing. It was much more than they normally got. So the average that Catch the Wind had previously was about 3,000 or 4,000. So they've asked it up, and we literally haven't got money to do it. So it wasn't a particular cut to them.
Yeah.
That's the way it worked.
It's got last year.
So they got, that's exactly the same as last year.
Yeah.
Is that something that we can recommend that's added to the list so we can compare what they got last year then?
It's next on the next page.
Is it?
It's next on the page before.
Yeah, the one that the previous set of numbers tells you about last year.
Sorry.
What page is that? Oh, it's page 44, just to be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you got a second of Catch the Wind?
Yeah.
There you go. We've got some unanimity to that too. Okay, shall we vote in favour of Catch the Wind and getting the money? Yeah. Marvellous, that's clearly carried again. Now then, Make My Day. Anybody wanting to walk out of the room for Make My Day? No, we haven't given anybody this, have you?
No, very active about anything.
That was a really big group. Right. Derek, you going to do that?
Make My Day wanted 3.5, content of Make My Day was extremely well thought out and glad that they could not fund the event.
It's wrong, I was going to say that, it's wrong is that on the minutes, because we didn't say that at all.
No. It's probably the same as the one above.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. There was a lot more discussion over Make My Day.
Yeah, you need to cross out that last bit, because we have said from it.
We did fund them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Neither of us are the top of the were able to head that bit.
Can I just say too, the first one, you've got the whole history.
Anyway, it was decided that it was a well-planned festival, despite the fact it was raining, it was well attended, to see little kids with grandpa, both with hammers in their hands, banging nails into a piece of wood with grins from ear to ear. It really is a good festival.
I think just to pick up on some of the things that have been said in the last couple of days and reference to this report as well. Looking at how we score and what you get scored for is something that I think all the councillors in the room would be more than happy to look into in the next few months. Yeah. So that maybe, for instance, something of social value, which might not necessarily attract lots of tourists, but does some very, very good in the community, can still score as well as one that's going to bring in 20,000. Right, so 3,000 for Make My Day. Oh, we've got seconders coming out of our area. Tricia's seconding that. Shall we go on Make My Day at 3,000? Yeah. All those in favour? Clear. Oh, yeah. Very close to being unanimous. Okay, what's this one? Northwest Youth.
Northwest Youth Junior Women's Tour. Basically, it's a bit kids, not toddler kids, high school kids, adolescent kids. Milk race, if anybody remembers that. They have a day in Morecambe, which is a time trial. They zoom around Lancaster, blocking the roads up, and then they have another event in Morecambe on the third day. And they were anticipating bringing, apart from, there'll be, I think they said about 250-300 contestants. And because they're adolescents, they're going to bring mummy, daddy, definitely, if not grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, which will all stay in town overnight.
I think the guy said that it's one of the highest counts for events in the hotels, vendor festivals.
Tricia, you want to intervene or are you second?
Yeah, I'll second, but I would just also like to say that she also said that they think in the future years it will become self-sufficient.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
What are your views?
She's got moved, it's her report. Are there any other interventions other than voting for this? Jim, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just said, fully support this, but I had one reservation about the route that they chose for the Sunday event. It involved closing off the Central Drive from the prom, going past Morrison's, Long Days, all them, all day on Sunday, about 10 AM till 4 PM. I think the businesses are very pleased with that. Unless there's a way around it, it's one way or something.
For the council's benefit, the lady that was giving the presentation, I asked about how do the shops feel about being barricaded in on a bank holiday weekend, and she said that they were all in favour of it.
There's got to be a way,
Yeah. And it should attract shoppers, shouldn't it? Who of course are people. Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're going to vote on this now then, yeah? Marvellous. So all those in favour of the Junior Women's Tour? Yeah, fantastic. Really carries. And moving on the other side, on to page 46. Right. Nice and sleazy. Anyone need to leave the room on this one? No? Marvellous. Terry, over to you.
Right, they asked for 4.
Yeah.
We gave them 3. As you can see, they scored quite highly.
Yeah.
Up to this year, Mr. Harrison's been basically a one-man band with volunteers. He now had 2 more people with him from Blackpool who are festivals producers and promoters. And from the presentation, we've definitely got it all sewn up.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to meet the people from Blackpool who organised the Blackpool Music Festival. Very impressed that Ivan's got some background. Trish?
Sorry, I was on number 7.
Seconded by Trish. Okay, happy to move that then. All those in favour of supporting this festival? Marvellous, that's clearly carried again. Thank you very much. Okay, right, vintage. Yeah, I think Debs can come back in. Come back in for vintage, can't you? Anyone need to leave for vintage? No. Okay. Mary?
Precisely.
Over to you.
The Aspirate team, we ended up giving them 6,000, it was down to me, and I cut it in half. Due to demand of festival fundings from the council, the festival organisers being informed that it is becoming extremely difficult to fund the Vintage Festival at this level year on year. Therefore, the organisers would need to seek sponsorship from another organisation.
Are you speaking or seconding?
I'm speaking.
Okay, well, I need a seconder before you can speak to anything, yeah? You've got a seconder. Thank you. Right, now you can speak to it. Because at least I'll second it. No, but you can't speak to something that hasn't got a seconder because it's not a proposition yet.
Yeah, you sit down before you pull that. No, the one thing that concerned me about this is all the other festivals have been asked over and over and over again about sustainability, but when we ask the same question of vintage, apparently their festival goers don't like wearing sponsorship, and oh well dear, what a pity. They're going to have to get used to it, and it doesn't seem fair that we put these stringent criteria on the festivals and put a lot of them off, and most of the money for this festival seems to go on the fees for the organisers, which I'm really in disagreement with, especially when other festivals, which have been equally successful, have got no money at all.
Well, seeing as you mentioned that, I'll say a couple of things. Actually, I'll say 3 things. The first thing is that unsustainability of festivals is built into Arts Council funding, and the Arts Council need to have a long think about that. Arts Council stops sustainability. You have to spend everything you've got if you get Arts Council funding, and anybody that gets it will know that. Anybody that goes anywhere near Arts Council funding knows that. The other 2 things to say are, most of the money doesn't go on festival organisers, and when you look at the books you'll know that. And the third thing is that this festival won the best large festival in Lancashire at the Lancashire Tourism Awards this year. Whether you like it or not, it is recognised outside of the boundaries of this town as being a very good festival.
It's not the value, it's the value for money of it, which is a very expensive.
No, well that's why I think you've absolutely said the right thing about sponsorship. But you can't accuse people of being the majority of this cost when for organising it when that's not physically the case. It's just not mathematically true. So you've got a second for this, which we've already got. Anybody else want to speak? Brandon, where are you going, mate?
Darren, I know it's in your portfolio, mate, so I'm not sure whether you've got an interest on the vote. But
no, it turns out I haven't.
But yeah, I don't think that was a personal attack on you. I don't.
No.
But all I'm going to say is I'm not voting for it. We said exactly the same last year. How the hell can we give £16,000 to a festival that will not be commercially viable ever?
Yes, that's true.
We just can't do it. I don't mind, with the city council hat on, they are looking for ways to do it, but it's never going to be viable commercially. So we need to either go, yeah, okay, we'll do this every year and keep saying you've got to find another way, which they're not going to do, or we just sort of stand up and go, well, actually, this is the last year, next year you're getting £9 grand, deal with it, find another way around it. We've got to either stand up, for as long as I've been on the council, which isn't that long, we must give it, 60,000 quid. That's more than we've done for protecting the communities against crime. It's ridiculous.
David?
Yeah, it is a good festival, Vintage, and it brought lots of people into our town, and I think businesses benefited and all that. But give and take the provider is quite well. I am concerned about the amount we're giving this person, and £16 is a lot. And I am deeply concerned that other festival providers have not got funding. One or two are before us tonight who have provided good value for money, and I visited most of the festivals this year when I can. So I'm very up in the air how I'm going to vote on this one. I'm inclined for this one, for tonight, to vote for it because it does bring benefits to Morecambe, but I think in future years we need to be encouraging them to seek other sources of funding, or, you know, we need to be doing that stronger. We need to be more stronger on that, and maybe give them a note that this year, you know, next year you do need to be looking for other funding. Thank you. And I will be speaking on another festival later on that hasn't got funding, so just ask why that is.
Okay, no problem. Tricia,
This is by far the most popular local festival. It's the one that everybody talks about, not just locally but nationally. And the hotel is the highest one for hotel beds in the area. So I can understand some of the points, but the national publicity we get from this is worth more than 16k. We couldn't get it any other way. It continues all year round.
Thank you. Very similar point to that. I think the money that the town gets back per pound that we give to the vintage is greater than any of the other festivals. So it's better value for money giving vintage this money, get more for it back. And like you say, it's during the vintage weekend there's more beds taken by the local businesses than any other period of the year. So it's an over-end rate. It gets national coverage for the town. What's not so like?
We've got that information about the beds from the hoteliers themselves who have some kind of system that they do it on.
yes, I've seen the bed occupancy rate. I've got John and Tracy coming up. If there's anybody else wants to speak on this at all before we sum up. No? Right, John?
I've never ever been in favour of giving that amount of money to any one group of people. But I have to accept it's a very, very good festival. I don't, however, accept that necessarily means that it's the only way in which we could get that kind of value and benefit for the community. We need to be flexible enough to look at other festivals as well, which could, if they were properly handled, bring us exactly the same kind of benefit. It's perfectly possible. We shouldn't rule that out as a possibility. Like David, I will vote for it tonight because I just think at this stage of the game it's silly not to do it. But I do think we need to address what we do. And I'm just going to make one further suggestion really, which is that if we wish to take a more circumspect approach about how we give money to different festivals, one way to do it might be to put a limit, as it were, a sort of percentage limit on any one festival that could be given out of our festival's budget. And if we promulgated that well enough in advance, people would have some idea of what they might be able to expect from us. People might not then be put in this position, in this dilemma. You know, if we ever chose to do it at any time in the future, and if it was suddenly something came along that we really want to get money to, we have it in our power to break our own rules if we want, as long as we do it democratically.
Yes.
So a guideline of that sort would perhaps give us a bit more leeway.
As ever, the voice of reason. Wonderful, thank you for that intervention. Tracy, on it.
Well, I've never agreed on the amount of money that we've ever given to this festival, and that doesn't mean to say I don't think it's a good festival. I just don't think they should ever receive that amount of money when there are other festivals that are good that don't get anything. The cost of anything that they do with children for families is very expensive. The cost of face painting is over extortionate. The workshops are extortionate. I can tell you that a festival that was happening the week after, their guests went down to this festival, sat there and did things for the children for free because the costs for children's activities were unbelievable.
Thank you. June, did you want
Yes.
to say something?
Are we match funded for this festival, for the vintage, with Lancaster City Council?
No, City Council put a lot more in than that.
They're putting a lot more in than that.
What?
Two more.
We put thousands in office at a time. Don't forget the officers are the ones that organise most of it, not the people that you think do.
Yeah, but nominatively it's
I'll show you the profit and loss accounts for it that have got the numbers on it if you like.
well, if we're making decisions on them, why
And
aren't
you
we
should
bringing
have-
to those in the first
Well, you should have them anyway because we've asked for them plenty of times. We did have them a couple of years ago, didn't we? When we originally ordered this, so that's a matter for the committee to have this information in front of them. But there's food for thought there for everybody, isn't there? Especially with John's very, very good suggestion. Right, so can we go to a vote on the allocation for this year? It's only ever going to be for this year, of course, colleagues. So you've got a mover and a seconder. Can we vote all those in favour of this allocation for this year? Okay. Do a quick count.
12.
Right, those against? 6. Any abstentions? And no abstentions. Thank you very much. Right.
Mr. Chairman, before I'm thrown out into the cold, all the splendid, as chair of festivals, I would be more than happy to incorporate John's ideas of a percentage.
You'll have to do that as a part of your process of reviewing what you're going to do for next year. So that will be put on the agenda for your next committee meeting. So are you guys definitely leaving at this point on? Because you don't have to. Tracy has, because she works in an establishment that houses part of the festival. Right. Are we ready? Right, hold on. Right, okay. So I've got a monitoring officer that says that you don't have to. I've got a town clerk that says that you probably should.
Yeah, I would.
It is entirely, therefore, this is the thing we trunk out all the time. This is up to each individual member to decide on. Councillor Heath.
Could I clarify something?
Yes.
I know they volunteer for it, but
Yeah.
do you actually go to the do on the night?
No.
No, you don't go. Right, fine.
Would do in the evening?
It's
okay.
Claire buys her own ticket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fine. I'm just asking. Because
I also go, I've been to every single one of these festivals.
At the meeting when we did all the scoring.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
They left them.
And that's why, of course, we've got a situation where the monitoring officer who advises us on these things says that they shouldn't have to.
Right, well, it just conflicts.
And the clerk who's saying that you probably should. So, you pay your money, you take your choice, don't you?
it's not public perception.
It is. Right, so Max is gonna move us on anyway on this one.
Right,
Splendid.
when the day I chaired this, they did speak that they booked up in June already for next year. So unluckily they didn't meet the criteria, so I don't know if you want to discuss it.
Are you moving that as a recommendation, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get a second before I move on to any discussion. Thank you, Roger. David, do you want to speak on that?
I do want to speak on this because I've attended the day games on this, and I'm aware that this is a very popular festival. It brings people in, so I'm very, very concerned that, I mean, I can understand if there's a funding cut. I think that's only fair that all festivals do that. But to allow festivals to take place and those coming to be fair enough, but to get nothing, I just think it's an attempt to say to a really good festival to kill it. And I was gobsmacked about this. So I'm trying to put a proposal initially that this festival gets the amount they asked for, I would accept, you know, someone to reduce it to maybe 5,000, but to give them nothing is just a haul. So I'm going to recommend that we give them the amount that they asked for, 10,000. I can't understand how they scored low. They got funding last year. They provide value for money. They bring people from other areas. They even attracted national publicity on BBC a couple of years ago. And it is attended by all age groups as well. So I'm just tonight, I can't support this tonight. I can't support them getting nothing. My mind is just of a spin of why they've got nothing. I just think it's deplorable.
Chair, say where the money's going.
Well, I'm going to get the money from.
That's all right, I'm on top of that one. That is absolutely the case. There's been a budget set by Finance and Management, which you voted in favour of, I think, earlier on this evening. If you're going to move a change to the recommendation, and you're entitled to, then you need to tell us where the money's coming from, and then we can vote on that. But have a think, and I'll go to. I've got a couple of people lined up for speakers. Have a think about that, because you may not have previously thought about that little aspect of it. So I'll go to John first.
Well, I've been involved in the assessment processes before, and I do know that as a general rule, the criteria that we use and the way the individual people sit around the room asking the questions and making their own marks without additional influence tends to yield pretty similar results most of the way around the room. Obviously there are differences, but as a general rule, the people's point systems, they tally tolerably well and they average out fairly well. So the fact they didn't receive the threshold of votes, I would guess there's probably a very good reason for that, otherwise I suspect they would, because it is a good festival and it does bring people here. So I'll accept the recommendation and vote against it, but I would suggest though that, and I do know actually that some of the people involved can sometimes be a bit difficult to deal with, I do realise that. And I have a question to ask. Firstly, did we get good feedback from them? Did we get proper accounts sent back from them? Did we get, in other words, a good indication of the outputs of last year's festival? I was given to understand, but it's only hearsay, that they were perhaps not quite as good as they'd anticipated or hoped for. And that might be one of the things. So if we got that information, I'd be interested to know. But the other thing is, if we think this festival has merits, I wouldn't just say you can't have the money. I mean, we've probably got to say that now, but I would say, can we talk to you about it? You know, can we provide any help or expertise or advice that might help you gain? Because I don't want to discourage it. I think it's a really good festival. I don't want to discourage it. This will discourage it. So what I'm saying, I suppose, is can we put in place something to follow it up to say, look, hard lines this time, but let's see if we can do something about it in the future.
Thank you, Tricia. Did you want to?
No, there is something I'd like to
One
of the questions I actually asked at the night was the fact that on none of the posters was it mentioned that the town council had funded them, and there was no emblem like the schools can have on, and it's not on the website either, that the festival actually received funding from here. We did see on the night we saw a brochure with us in the middle of a list of sponsors, but that was a brochure that was, as is admitted, was not, it was for sale, you had to pay £1 for it, and they didn't actually sell many. That was what they said on the night, but none of the posters in town had anything on them about the town council support.
Debs, you're next.
I was going to say very similar to what John has said this evening. I think every festival that tries to put on an event is fantastic and good on anybody that has a go. I did, as John said, I do think they outstretched themselves. The feedback was around the cost that people had to pay and there was a lot of charges. It would be great to give them advice because I think it's a very unusual festival and I think it brought a different audience back into Morecambe, and it just goes with the theme that we're really bringing the town back on its feet. I do agree they shouldn't have 10,000 because I don't think they spent, to my gut feeling, without looking at the books, and that's what I'd like to understand, so how we score them, and that's something I'd really would like to get to understand that level, how we score a festival and see the payments back, so the receipts of what they spent that money on, because it wasn't a huge festival, and knowing how much a festival can cost, I didn't see where 10,000 actually went. So my recommendation is very similar to John, that maybe we don't discourage them by giving them nothing. I'm not quite sure how we proportion the money, but Vintage has got 30% of the budget, which is a huge percentage of the whole budget. But I would propose that we do consider giving them a small percentage with guidance on how we can help them, support them with the events. And I know it was advertised, I think, and they did promote that the council did support them on Facebook, but I know it wasn't done with the badge and all the moves that they should. Thank you.
Okay, before I bring Max back in, are there any other interventions from members at all? No. So, have you worked out what your recommendation is going to be if you're going to make one, insofar as funding? No?
You'd have to take it off one of the others.
You'd have to take it off the fringe because the others have all been passed.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting at this point that we allocated a total budget of 55,000, 5 of which goes to the marketing budget, I believe. But we got applications amounting in excess of 80,000. Yeah. So not everybody will be satisfied with the outcome. There's no doubt about that. Inside or outside the chamber. So there's no easy answers to any of this. Max?
The reason they said that the Morecambe Town Council emblem wasn't on it, because remember they got the money late last year. They got it late, and that's why they said, but otherwise it's just a bit of a hiccup. So,
Have you thought of a way forward?
Yeah.
Oh, good, go on.
Could we consider, as we've not had a publicity pot before, that a percentage of that is donated to the Splendid Day Out?
We have had a publicity pot before.
Have you?
Yeah, we spent the same amount last year as well on publicity. Yeah, this isn't a new pot. We spent £5,000 the year before that, and possibly the year before. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, this isn't the publicity isn't new money. That's what we've been doing for the last 3 years, because we didn't feel that we were punching our weight when it came to telling people the festivals were on.
And do you spend 5,000 on publicity?
We get more than that, actually. Yeah, because it goes into a global pot alongside lots of other partners. Right, it doesn't sound like we've come up with a particularly satisfactory way forward at this stage.
Chair, what worries me is if we give them £2,500, would that be enough?
No, it's got to come from somewhere though, Ian.
I know it's got to come from somewhere, but what I mean to say is, would it be enough anyway?
No, probably won't. Probably won't. It's better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to cut the publicity budget, and because we do work with other partners, including the bid, and we can probably still yield very, very similar results for, a little bit less money.
While I appreciate your attempts to try and find a way forward for us, Brendan, we've already agreed that as a part of the recommendations that we've voted on this evening. So we can't reverse something we've already voted on as a council 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. We're not in a position to be able to do that. I'll go that way around. June, help us out.
If we're discussing Splendid Day Out in that context, what about Promenade Concert? They also didn't reach the criteria. So if you're going to do it for one, you have to find some money for Promenade Concert as well. Because that is a good concert. you know, a different kind of audience, but it gets a lot of people here from around the lakes. I know that. And it was for 4. Don't forget the 4 separate concerts. But you have to, if you do it for one, you have to do it for the other.
Trish?
Yeah, well, I don't agree it's the best system, this marking system. I would like to see it change. That is what we were tasked to do on that committee. And I think to now say, well, because we don't like the results, we're going to change things, I think that's wrong. It's setting a precedent. I think what you do is next year you change the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. No argument from me on that one. Jim? And then John.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems to me that, taking what we're saying about the orchestra, but that we've already voted that one through, you know, haven't we? One thing we haven't voted through is this. We could leave that in abeyance after we've discussed the fringe, because I had several issues about that. I thought the presentation was pretty bad, really, and the figures were not very clear at all. And how we've allocated £16,500 to that, I've got problems with personally. You know. Could believe that in advance of this. The only way.
You're suggesting that we do the last item now, decide on that, and then see what happens.
Well, it's one possibility.
It's certainly an idea. I get where you're at with that. That sounds interesting. John?
We appoint committees to consider, to look at all the details on our behalf, and to make recommendations. Unless we suspect something is drastically amiss with the way they work, I think we have to accept their recommendations, even if we don't necessarily like them. So I think everything that Julie and Trish said is right. I really do.
Linda?
Well, I don't accept recommendations by the committee because that's what it's there for, and it seems stupid, quite frankly, to start trying to reorganise it. Having said that, if there is reason, if people are unhappy about the Morecambe Fringe financing, I think if any money were given, it would have to be split between Splendid Day Out and the Promenade Concert Orchestra. Because I don't see how you could possibly make one. Not have one in
And as the clerks just pointed out to me very helpfully, Splendid scored less than Promenade Concert Orchestra. So you're absolutely right. We're tiptoeing on the head of a pin here, and it's only going to go badly wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. We're going to have to come to a decision here. John, please.
If there are some doubts about the Morecambe Festival Fringe and all that lot, that's 16,500, and if by any chance we overturn the recommendation there, that doesn't mean to say we could then look at giving it to anybody else. What we then have to do is invite people to apply again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you've moved your recommendations. Are you going to seek to move your amendment, or are you withdrawing that in the interest of what's just been said?
With the interest of what's been said, yes, I'm
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't think anyone's doing this with anything other than a bit of regret attached to that. Right, okay, so can we vote on Splendid? Those in favour of accepting the recommendations of the committee, please show. Okay. Those against? Yeah. And have we got any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, very grateful. Right, we move Max to the next bit now. Right, I think I'm right in thinking that Tracy's still got to stay outside for this. I'm right in that now. But I think Terry and Claire can come back in, but Tracy can't. Unless I've got something wrong here. Out of all of that, my brain's mush. It wasn't this hard when you were chair, was it, Ethan?
You had it a lot worse than you.
Did you? Yeah, you don't talk people thrown out by the police when you were chair.
No.
What?
Or a different one. I'm just trying to figure out. Surely the ones that got no funding should be at the top. So if anything goes like this, does that?
Change the system next year.
Okay, good suggestion. Thank you. Okay, right. Terry, we're on to the fringe, the four bits of that. Okay.
Do you want me to take them as individual ones or as a block?
It's up to you.
As a block?
Yeah.
Right, the fringe festivals spread all across the year. The Christmas one will be Christmas 18. 19, sorry, I know it's a lot of money. But it's for 4 festivals, which makes it 4,000 and a bit each festival. The guy, Matt, whose last name I can't remember, I still can't pronounce it. Ganesh. What a nice guy he was. He regaled us with stories of him coming from the fringe, Edinburgh, come straight from the Edinburgh Fringe. I commented on his t-shirt because it had Hawk coming down. And for you, Trish, it's next April to tell Frank it's April weekend next year. Like, you don't know that. The fringe this year was, even though it was done literally at the last minute, was successful. Everybody enjoyed it. It was well organised, well attended, and yet again, Ian Bond from the Carlton was wonderful with them. He deserves a thank you anyway.
Yes, can I second this week?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I must admit, I went with this, to look at this, and was thinking, no way. But after hearing what he had to say, and the fact it was well organised, and the external people that were there said he'd been there last year, they'd given him nothing, and yet he'd come up with a good festival this year. And I just got the feeling that, and he was quite adamant that he would be self-funding within 3, 4, 5 years. And I believe that. I thought it was really good. I was completely turned around copies, and yeah, I think it's great.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was in the same position last year. Jim and then Claire.
Yeah, I'll often, it was a very personal colour, as has been mentioned. Figures were very amateur stuff together. Like for instance, we had to consider how many pounds per person. Little calculation during one of the scores. And so how many guests were you expecting? Loads or many? Well,
It's finance wasn't the best of it. It's finance wasn't the best.
it was just, I wish him well, because I love that sort of thing. It happens fantastic. Exactly what Martin wants. But he didn't really convince me. He was very, he was very exalted. But he didn't convince me. When I'm looking at it as looking after the money of the taxpayer, not my own money, my own money, and somebody else's money, I didn't feel confident in price scoring very low, to be honest, and because of that, but I wish him well.
Thank you, Jim. Claire? And then
I actually attended the fringe. I was there all 3 days, and the other thing Matt said is he's got UNESCO verification. We are now the British base of the International Theatre Institute, which is quite prestigious. And part of these events are actually around the whole UNESCO thing. They're international events, and they would attract international performers and players and things like that. I was really impressed when I was at the Fringe, because it wasn't a usual 20 suspects, it wasn't a usual 20 arty people in Morecambe who turn up at everything. There were a lot of people who were just ordinary people from the West End, and people come from further afield, and people come to stay over. There were a lot of good people. And like Trish said, I do think Matt will actually achieve sustainability. Yes, his figures were slightly rubbish, but that was because he put this bid in before it actually happened.
okay.
So, he obviously, it was his initial event. You can't tell in a new town exactly how how much of an audience you're going to get. But in the meantime, the festival had happened in that week after you put figures in, I think. So that's what I'm just saying.
Got Linda and then John, and then we'll move to a vote. Linda?
Yeah, I just wanted some clarification on what they all were. I mean, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events? I mean, presumably it's events that are related to each other. It's all taking place, within 1 year, next year? I'm not quite sure how it's working out.
It runs throughout the year.
Right.
They run from next year right through to Christmas next year. They will all be based around the Carlton and the Exchange, which puts them slap bang in the middle of the West End. As Claire, and St Barnabas as well. As Claire said, this UNESCO is just mind-blowing. One of them, and to be quite honest, I can't remember which one said it was, but the president of this UNESCO organisation will be there bringing all his entourage and followers from literally all 4 corners of the world.
David's got extra details if you want.
On Councillor Davies' question, the Story Festival takes place between the 20th and the 27th of March. Comedy between the 6th and 13th of July, Fringe 31st of August and 9th of September, and the Christmas Fringe the 10th to the 15th of December in all the places that Councillor Metcalfe said.
John?
I assume from what was said earlier on, we're going to pass this as a global sum.
Yes.
It's quite a difference from the 22,000 he's asking for. I would just like in the contract, I mean, I don't suspect the man of any more fees, it's admitted as well, and I think he'll do a great thing, but just to be on the safe side, if we could in the contract ensure that all 4 festivals must take place for him to get all of that money.
It's in the contract, yeah.
I'm sure that will be the case.
It is.
Thank you for that. Okay, shall we move to a vote? Okay, so we've got a formal mover and a second. All those in favour of supporting this festival as is? Okay. Anybody against? Or abstentions? You against? You more abstentions? Against? And abstentions? Abstentions. 2 abstentions. Okay, right. Now then, before you run to the doors, Clark just wants to ask one question about the liaison meeting. Yes, sorry, Terry.
Yeah, before David says about the liaison, can I bring up, I actually went to the loo at the wrong time, antisocial behaviour. That moron is still feeding the pigeons all the way around the town centre.
And you feed it into the committee that it's most appropriate.
This is what I want to do. I want them to take it up. I've reported it to the police, the PCSOs. It makes my life, and I object to being called ignorant bitch, selfish bitch, by a man with no brain or sense of community.
Feed it into the committee and we'll get it fed back to our colleagues. Right, liaison meeting. Very quickly, liaison meeting with Lancaster City Council. Clark, and then we
The next liaison meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday, as I emailed members out a few weeks ago. I've only had 2 items for the agenda. Does anybody want anything else putting on the agenda? Or do you want the meeting to go ahead just with these 2 items on it? That's the question, please.
Sure. Can I just say, since I was the person who put the 2 items on the agenda, I thought it was a useful thing to do, but they're not so essential that it's worth calling everybody to a city council meeting. We could pursue them, through normal channels. So I just thought I'd give you that piece of information.
I think, given that we've been addressed tonight by concerned residents in East North Sefton Road, it may be, there's multiple issues on that one, but it's maybe an issue that we need to have on the agenda.
And again,
as you should take that as been addressed.
Again, I think actually, given that the chair of the Community Safety Partnership is sitting behind you, then that will be followed up. And I know colleagues spoke with those 2 ladies when they went back outside, didn't they? So that will be followed up. Again, I don't think we probably need a special meeting for it. It will be on the agenda for ones after that to make sure it has been followed up. Max?
Yeah, can I just tell you, I've been working with these people for the last 5 weeks, We tried to get some support from the local police, but the only email I got back was that they were going on a training course in mental health. Well, that's not helping the people at Sefton Road.
No.
So what I've done, I've emailed Suzanne Lodge and the officers in the housing, because it's obviously a housing problem as well. I don't know who the landlord is, so I've emailed Suzanne, so we'll see what goes on there. But obviously it's happening quite a lot, this. We absent lands of Eastern North, Garden Road, all around there. So
I think in short, what we will do, given the interventions that we've had this evening, we will follow those 3 issues up using normal channels without necessarily having to sit in a room not getting any answers on Tuesday. We'll make sure that they get put on as items for the following one to make sure that they have been followed up in a fashion that members will be satisfied with. The only thing to say other than that is the date of the next meeting is Thursday the 16th of November. Oh God, where has the year gone? Well, you know what? Thank you very much. Morecambe's pretty cool, isn't it? And those people you get awards to earlier on proved it. Good night, God bless, and have a safe journey home.